There is a wide misunderstanding of science. Everything in the universe conforms to certain scientific rules, and just because there is a failure to understand those rules, it does not suggest a deity.
The statement, just because there is a failure to understand those scientific rules, it does not suggest a deity, is a loaded statement that makes a very weak argument, because I can just as easily flip the question and say, just because you don't understand how there can be a God, it doesn't mean that science can explain who or what created the earth. As Professor John Lennox stated, nonsense remains nonsense even when spoken by famous scientists. Just because we are Christians, it doesn't mean we do not understand science. For example, the Big Bang Theory, in a simplified explanation, was an intense explosion that happened almost instantly because of energy building up. So in theory, it was an intense flash of light that happened almost instantly, and it created the earth, which is exactly what it would look like if God made the command, "Let there be light." In Genesis, that is exactly how the world came into existence.
The Bible is full of inconsistencies, and therefore it is not self-authenticating at all. So it can't be legitimate proof.
I understand your point. However, retired homicide detective James Warner Wallace decided to investigate the Bible and its validity, and in the process of this, he wrote a book called Cold Case Christianity. He recognized that the Bible was supposed to be a collection of eyewitness testimony of what happened during biblical times. Wallace states that inconsistency in the Bible are to be expected, because in every case he has worked on, there have been many inconsistencies in eyewitness testimonies. So the argument that the inconsistencies disprove the validity of the Bible does not truly matter. In fact, it proves how valid the Bible truly is. Some might argue that Wallace was biased when he started this investigation, and they would be right. However, he is not biased in a way that you would expect. Wallace states,
"When I began this study, I was a devout atheist. I began examining the Gospels as a committed skeptic, not as a believer. You see, I wasn't raised in a Christian environment, although I do think I have an unusually high regard for the value of evidence. I'm not a Christian because I was raised that way or because I hoped it would satisfy some need or accomplish some goal. I'm simply a Christian because it's evidentially true."
Faith is little more than willful ignorance. Christians don't understand science, and that is why they have faith in God.
Like I said before, the Big Bang Theory is incredibly similar to what we would imagine it would look like if God spoke the word, "Let there be light." This fact in general disproves the argument that faith does not stand up in the face of scientific scrutiny. If that fact isn't enough proof for you, there are several scientists that have been Christians, such as Galileo, Sir Francis Bacon, Isaac Newton, Johann Kepler, Leonardo da Vinci, David Brewster, and Lord Kelvin, all of which have made massive contributions to science. You have made the argument that Christians don't understand science, and that's why they have faith in God. But once again, I can turn this statement back on you because you are stating opinion, not fact. I can just as easily say that you don't understand how a person can have a relationship with God, and so you have faith in science and theories. The biggest fault in your statement, though, is very clear. You misunderstand the term faith. Faith isn't just something that Christians have. Faith is the belief in someone or something. It applies to everything because it is a basic function of life. If we didn't have faith in anything, then the world wouldn't evolve. It even applies to science. If scientists didn't believe in theories, then science never would have existed. And if you're going to start arguing that your faith is different than my faith, then think again. Faith is faith, no matter what it's about, and that, my friend, is a fact.
If God created the universe, then who created God? There is no proof that God exists. The failure to disprove something doesn't prove its existence. People have created fake religions and deities that have strong followings, such as the flying spaghetti monster.
The question, if God created the universe, then who created God, is a frustrating question because it starts a circulation of answers that would never end. If God had a creator, then that God would need a creator. And if that God had a creator, then another God would need a creator. It goes on and on. The answer still remains though. Something or someone had to have come first. No matter what theory or religion you decide to believe in, you will have the same problem come up. In evolutionary terms, a single living particle created the whole universe. But who created that living particle? Where did it come from? In the Big Bang Theory, a bunch of energy built up to cause a massive explosion that created the universe. But where did the energy come from? It's really a never-ending loop of questions that cannot be proven. Unless you're a Christian, then the answer is simple. God created everything. That's why the argument, the failure to disprove something doesn't prove its existence, still applies to scientific theories. For example, the failure to disprove the existence of the Big Bang Theory doesn't prove its existence.
If God is so good, then why does he allow suffering? How can you believe in a God who is allowing so much pain, disease, suffering, and crime into the world?
Evil is atheism's most potent weapon against the Christian faith, and it is. After all, the very existence of evil begs the question, if God is all good and God is all powerful, why does he allow evil to exist? The answer at its core is remarkably simple. Free will.
He wants us to have the right to choose to believe in him or to not believe in him. God wants us to make our own decisions. So in simple terms, God allows evil to exist so that one day he can take those of us who have chosen him and save us from that evil. His intentions of allowing evil to exist are to eventually destroy it.